Are you done? When Mu Chen's voice softly spread through the air, the world, which had previously been filled with murmurs, fell silent again. Many people looked at Mu Chen with surprise, as they couldn't detect any sign of panic on his face. This puzzled many of them. Could it be that Mu Chen still didn't see the situation clearly? Facing Ji Xian, Lu Qingyun, Fang Yun, in the formidable lineup that included Xue Tianhe, even their small triangular formation seemed like something they shouldn't provoke, right? No one underestimated the strength of Mu Chen, Luo Li, and Wen Qingxian, but equally, no one dared to underestimate Ji Xian's side either. The powerful figures on his team were not to be taken lightly. Yet, even so, Mu Chen remained unmoved. What did this mean? Was he really this ignorant, or did he still have the strength to fight back despite the situation? If it was the latter, it would be hard for anyone to believe. Some of the more perceptive onlookers narrowed their eyes. Mu Chen had come this far and made someone as monstrous as Ji Xian wary of him. So clearly, he was not an ignorant person. And since Mu Chen wasn't fearless out of ignorance, it only left one possibility. He must have some preparations. This thought caused a slight stir in many hearts, and there was a different look in their eyes when they glanced at the young man with the ever-calm expression. It wasn't just them who were skeptical. Lu Qingyun, Fang Yun, Xue Tianhe, and the other heavyweight figures also narrowed their eyes, their gazes locking onto Mu Chen, their eyes flashing with intrigue. It seems you've anticipated this? Ji Xian's eyes flickered. Then he looked at Mu Chen and said with a light smile, "After being rivals for so many years, wouldn't I know your tricks by now?" Mu Chen responded, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Oh." Ji Xian raised an eyebrow, chuckling. "In that case, I'll have to see what you've prepared." Nothing spectacular, really. But with so many top-tier experts in the Spiritual Academy Grand Competition, just because you've brought in some heavyweight figures doesn't mean I won't be able to make a move, Mu Chen said with a smile. As soon as he finished speaking, Mu Chen turned his head and looked toward the sea of people stretching to the horizon. He called out loudly, "Wu Ling Wen Busheng, please make your appearance." With Mu Chen's voice ringing out, the sky seemed to grow still. Then, a somewhat helpless voice drifted slowly from the crowd. "Mu Chen, this cooperation of yours is quite a hot potato." The crowd parted, and a group of figures slowly emerged. At the forefront was a young man, elegant enough to resemble a woman. His demeanor unmistakably marked him as Wu Ling from the Wu Ling Academy. Behind him stood Wu Yingying, gracefully observing the surroundings. Her beautiful eyes swept over Mu Chen, muttering, "Such a troublesome guy." By Wu Ling's side stood another young man, ordinary in appearance, with no remarkable features. He constantly wore a harmless smile, yet his hand, hanging from his sleeve, was quite unusual. It appeared unnaturally pale and almost translucent, as if it were made of crystal. There was an unsettling quality to it that made it hard to look away. That's Wu Ling from Wu Ling Academy, ranked 3rd on the leaderboard? And Wen Busheng's team, currently ranked 8th, seems to have held that spot for quite some time. Although they haven't risen, they haven't fallen either. Mu Chen really came prepared. He's brought in 2 heavyweight figures. As Wu Ling and the young man named Wen Busheng made their appearance, the crowd erupted in murmurs. Many were secretly amazed by the situation. This was getting interesting. Both sides were showing their true colors, summoning powerful figures. The lineup before them was likely the strongest in the Spiritual Academy Grand Competition so far. The teams that had revealed themselves here were the ones most likely to make it to the final showdown. Mu Chen looked at Wu Ling and Wen Busheng and cupped his fists in thanks. During these past days, he had not only been eliminating Ji Xian's pawns, but also secretly seeking possible allies. After all, he knew Ji Xian too well. So, he also had to make some preparations. From the current situation, Ji Xian had allied with Lu Qingyun, Fang Yun, and Xue Tianhe, while Mu Chen had Wen Qingxian, Luo Li, Wu Ling, and Wen Busheng on his side. With him in the mix, their lineup was already nearly perfect. Both sides boasted top-tier lineups, making this confrontation ignite a thrilling anticipation in the onlookers, as if the final tournament was happening prematurely. "Never thought you'd end up siding with Mu Chen." Ji Xian's gaze turned cold as it rested on Wu Ling. He had never expected Wu Ling to get involved with Mu Chen. After all, their relationship during the Spirit Road trials hadn't been particularly close. Heh, don't look at me like that. I'm just here to lend a hand, Wu Ling said with a smile, his handsome face carrying a hint of playfulness. He then glanced at Wu Yingying beside him, slightly rolling his eyes. When Mu Chen first approached him, he had been quite fond of him but hadn't intended to get involved in the conflict with Jixian. However, he couldn't resist Wu Yingying's constant insistence, so he finally agreed. Short-sighted fool. Do you know who Jixian is? That guy is incredibly ambitious. Once he's done dealing with Mu Chen, we'll probably be next. Anyone standing in his way will be ruthlessly swept aside. Wu Yingying sneered, noticing the expression on Wu Ling's face. Is that really the only reason? Wu Ling raised an eyebrow, clearly amused. What else would it be? Wu Yingying narrowed her eyes, her fair cheeks slightly flushed, though she still glared at him with fierce determination. Wu Ling chuckled awkwardly, helpless against his stubborn little sister. He shifted his gaze to Jixian and said with a smile, Jixian, this situation is getting pretty serious. Looking at the lineups on both sides, if it comes to a fight, I think we'll all pay a hefty price. And that price might very well be someone losing their chance to enter the final tournament. Wu Ling's clear voice rang through the air, making the powerful reinforcements on both sides glance at each other. They all knew that their opponents weren't to be underestimated. If a full-scale fight broke out, the consequences could be extreme. For both Jixian and Mu Chen, the cost was clearly not worth it. After all, this was their personal grudge. They could offer support, but if it came to risking their lives, that wasn't their intention. Jixian squinted at Wu Ling, then turned his gaze to Mu Chen, smiling faintly. So, Captain Wu Ling, do you have any suggestions? Everyone takes a step back, calls it a day, and saves the real fight for the final tournament, Wu Ling replied with a grin. At these words, many of the teams around were taken aback. After such a dramatic setup, was it really going to end like this? Was this all just for show, bringing out powerful allies to flex their muscles? Mu Chen gave a faint smile, neither agreeing nor disagreeing. Jixian also smiled, then looked around before his eyes finally settled on Mu Chen. I agree that starting the final tournament now isn't the best idea, but since we're already here, we have to do something. Mu Chen, the situation today was caused by both of us. How about we settle it between the two of us? The moment Jixian spoke, many people's hearts skipped a beat. With both sides having equally powerful lineups, a full-scale battle seemed unlikely. Moreover, Jixian's team posed little threat to Mu Chen now. It seemed that the only way forward was to remove the outside help and resolve it directly. But this was likely exactly what Jixian had been aiming for. His original wariness of Mu Chen stemmed largely from Luoli and Wenqing Xian, but now, this wariness had been suppressed by the current situation. After all, if Luoli and Wenqing Xian continued to support Mu Chen, Jixian's powerful allies might not stay passive either. Luo Li's beautiful eyes narrowed in realization. She understood Jixian's plan now. He had been aiming all along to force Mu Chen into a one-on-one duel with him. At this moment, Jixian truly exuded a formidable aura. Luo Li knew that a battle between Mu Chen and Jixian was inevitable, but she didn't want it to happen right now. If Mu Chen were to face Jixian now, it wouldn't bode well for him. Clearly, Jixian was aware of this situation as well. That's why he was doing everything in his power to force Mu Chen into action now, for if he could, he would completely overwhelm Mu Chen, eliminating his most troublesome opponent once and for all. Luo Li's delicate face turned cold, and she gripped her Luo god sword tightly, her jade-like foot about to step forward. However, she was stopped by Mu Chen, who reached out a hand to stop her. The young man shook his head slightly at her, then lifted his gaze to Jixian. A sharp, blade-like smile appeared on his handsome face, and finally, under the watchful eyes of countless onlookers, he slowly nodded. As you wish. As you wish. When Mu Chen's words echoed across the heavens and earth, the eyes of the surrounding experts narrowed, their gazes filled with confusion as they looked at the slender young man. Clearly, Mu Chen's swift acceptance of the challenge caught them by surprise. Everyone could see that Jixian's intent was to force Mu Chen into a one-on-one battle, because Mu Chen's vulnerability, the weakness of his spiritual energy, was his greatest flaw. Perhaps Mu Qian had other ways to compensate for this weakness, but those would likely only work against ordinary experts. When facing a monstrous talent like Ji Xian, he would quickly realize just how difficult it was to close the gap between them. After all, who could say for certain that Ji Xian had no truly powerful trump cards? Mu Qian, Su Huang, and the others looked at Mu Qian with concern. Shen Songxing and Li Xintong exchanged a glance, frowning slightly. They clearly weren't optimistic about Mu Qian's chances in a direct confrontation with Ji Xian. After all, they had previously fought Ji Xian and were well aware of the terrifying strength he possessed. When Qing Xian also looked at Mu Qian, her red lips moving slightly, but in the end, she didn't say anything. Her face grew serious, as she knew that Ji Xian in front of them was not someone Mu Qian had dealt with before. This fool, Wu Yingying couldn't help but gnash her teeth in frustration, stomping her jade-like foot angrily. Heh, if he's a fool, then there can't be many normal people here. Wu Ling chuckled and then looked over at Wen Busheng, whose face wore a harmless smile. He asked, "What do you think, Brother Wen?" Wen Busheng, from the undefeated Spirit Academy, which had an infamous reputation for being small and weak, was actually leading his team to hold on to the 8th position in the Spiritual Academy Grand Competition. This position was no easy feat. It was the gateway to the final tournament. Many powerful teams had tried to surpass them, but none had succeeded. This made everyone realize that this team from a small academy might just be the dark horse of the competition. Upon hearing Wu Ling's question, Wen Busheng's previously gentle eyes narrowed slightly. Ji Xian is very strong, he said. He paused, then added, but Mu Qian is also not to be underestimated. Though he only has the strength of someone at the level of spiritual energy difficulty, I can feel the danger he poses. He's not any weaker than Ji Xian. This clash will be interesting. The outcome will depend on how Mu Qian performs. Hearing this evaluation, Wu Ling smiled and nodded lightly, his eyes focusing on the distant horizon as he muttered, "It will be interesting indeed." Amidst the various gazes focused on him, Mu Qian stepped forward. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes and looked at Mu Qian. A faint smile appeared on his face as he said, "To come this far with only spiritual energy difficulty, you're truly as exceptional as always." Mu Qian returned Ji Xian's gaze, but didn't speak. He stamped his foot and shot into the sky, floating midair. As he clenched his fists, black lightning surged from his body with a deep, rumbling sound of thunder. "Let's see what you've learned over the years." Mu Qian slowly extended his hand. Ji Xian smiled, but there was no warmth in his expression. In the next instant, everyone could see the overwhelming spiritual energy within him, as if a mighty wave suddenly surged from his body. Boom! The overwhelming and powerful spiritual energy surged like an ocean, bringing with it a deafening roar. The oppressive pressure of this energy spread, nearly engulfing the entire world around them. Everyone's expression subtly changed at that moment. The overwhelming feeling of this spiritual pressure made their bodies feel significantly heavier. Ji Xian's spiritual energy cultivation was also at the 2nd level of Divine Soul Tribulation, but it was clear that he was already qualified to challenge the 3rd level of Divine Soul Tribulation. Ordinary experts at the 2nd level of Divine Soul Tribulation were no match for him. Such powerful spiritual energy. In this world, some couldn't help but whisper in awe. In the current Spiritual Academy Grand Competition, anyone with the strength of the 2nd level of Divine Soul Tribulation was already at the pinnacle of the competition. But Ji Xian had already surpassed that level, on the verge of reaching the 3rd level of Divine Soul Tribulation. Once he passed the 3rd level of Divine Soul Tribulation, the supreme stage, a realm that countless people dreamed of, would be within reach. Mu Qian gazed at Ji Xian, surrounded by overwhelming spiritual energy. Yet his face showed no surprise. With Ji Xian's talent, this level of strength was hardly unexpected. Boom! The lightning around Mu Qian suddenly intensified, and the energy gathered in his chest, forming 6 lightning runes. The sky darkened, as if thunder was roaming through it. Black lightning flashed in and around Mu Qian's body, bringing a terrifying force capable of shattering mountains. Mu Qian stood in midair. His spiritual energy fluctuations weren't as powerful as Ji Xian's, but the veins under his skin bulged like coiling dragons, and his muscles trembled subtly. The fluctuation of power caused the air around him to crackle and explode. To think you've cultivated your physical body to this extent? From afar, Lu Qingyun looked at the power fluctuations surrounding Mu Chen, his eyes flashing with surprise. There was a newfound seriousness in his gaze as he looked at Mu Chen. Before reaching the supreme stage, it was extremely difficult to cultivate the physical body. To enhance it required more effort than cultivating spiritual energy. This was why very few people focused on physical body cultivation before reaching the supreme stage. After all, once one entered the supreme stage, they could cultivate the supreme Dharmakaya, a power so destructive that physical body cultivation became negligible. I wonder if your physical body can withstand the impact of my spiritual energy? Jixin stared at Mu Chen, smiling faintly. We'll find out. Mu Chen stretched out his palm and gently curved his fingers. You're brave. A cold smile appeared on Jixin's lips, and then his gaze turned sharp. Without any preparation, he unleashed a torrent of spiritual energy like an ocean. Dozens of immense spiritual energy threads, each around 100 feet long, shot out at an astonishing speed and appeared above Mu Chen in the blink of an eye. Sacred light wheel. Jixin clenched his palm, and the spiritual energy threads above Mu Chen's head condensed, forming a giant sacred light wheel that was 100 feet in diameter. The wheel spun instantly, transforming into a light blade that slashed down fiercely. Jixin had no intention of warming up. As soon as he attacked, it was with ruthless force. The lightning around Mu Chen erupted. He clenched his fist tightly, and black lightning runes spread from his arm. With a punch, he sent out a surge of power. Boom! A deafening thunder roar filled the air as a massive black lightning bolt, like an enraged dragon, shot out from Mu Chen's fist. The sound of its roar reverberated across the sky as it collided with the sacred light wheel. Bang! Black lightning and white light twisted and clashed violently in the sky, before finally merging into a storm that swept across the area. Amid the storm, Mu Chen's figure suddenly vanished from its original spot. Whoosh! When Mu Chen reappeared, he was behind Jixin. His expression was calm, and with a swift motion, he formed a seal with his hand. A starry sky appeared behind him. 4 gods sealing heaven seal. Thunder God fist. Mu Chen's left fist hurled out with the light of beastly shadows, while his right fist surged with lightning, both attacks coming down at Jixin with overwhelming force. Sacred light shield. Jixin turned and extended his hand. Brilliant white light gathered, forming a massive shield. The shield was covered in sacred symbols, impervious and unyielding. Mu Chen's domineering attack slammed into the holy shield with immense force, but it only caused the light shield to shake violently without breaking through it. Jixin's methods were unlike those of his previous opponents. Not only did he possess greater spiritual power, but the divine techniques he practiced were no ordinary ones. His combat strength was truly awe-inspiring. Holy light palm. With that, Jixin blocked Mu Chen's attack and once again struck out with his palm. A massive holy light palm formed in the air above Mu Chen, crashing down with such force that the air exploded in its wake. Boom! Another enormous bolt of black lightning shot into the sky, countering the holy light palm. Boom! 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 The battle between the two was as swift as a thunderstrike. In just a few dozen breaths, they exchanged over 10 rounds of combat. The black lightning exploded, while the holy light seemed to dissolve into the air. The entire sky, torn by their fierce confrontation, became dim and distorted. The onlookers from all directions couldn't help but watch in shock as the two unleashed such violent attacks. Even some experts who had passed the dual divine soul tribulation couldn't help but feel a slight twitch in their eyes. This kind of clash was truly terrifying. As the battle raged on, Mu Chen seemed to be hit more often, but his powerful physical body allowed him to endure the blows. So, overall, it could not be said that either side had gained the upper hand. Luoli, Wen Qingxian, and the others all watched the battle above with serious expressions. This was the first time they had seen Mu Chen, with his thunder god body pushed to its limits, unable to gain the advantage in battle. If this continues, there will be no conclusion, said Wu Ling from the distance, watching the fight unfold. When Bushing nodded lightly, and then his pupils suddenly contracted as he spoke slowly, they should start revealing their trump cards soon. As soon as when Bushing finished speaking, a dazzling white light suddenly erupted in the sky, like the rising sun, illuminating the entire world. A terrifying wave of spiritual energy shot into the sky. Buzz. The brilliant white light, resembling the blazing sun, spread across the sky, enveloping everything in its radiance. Such a phenomenon immediately drew all eyes to it. Boom. Mu Chen's eyes narrowed sharply, and he clenched his fist. A furious dragon-like bolt of black lightning surged forth, carrying immense spiritual energy as it shot toward Ji Xian, who was surrounded by the blinding light. Ji Xian stood in midair, at the center of the brilliant light. Waves of powerful spiritual energy surged around him. His black hair fluttered, and his eyes were filled with a cold, icy glare. Slowly, he raised his head and locked his gaze on the roaring black lightning. A sarcastic smile curled at the corner of his mouth, and then, with a swift movement, he shot forward. Whoosh! In an instant, his figure appeared before the black lightning, and with a light flick of his palm, the wind from his hand met the black lightning. Boom! The dazzling white spiritual energy erupted like a beam of light, and wherever the white light passed, the violent black lightning was instantly destroyed. Mu Chen, do you really think my strength is limited to the dual divine soul tribulation? With a single palm, Ji Xian crushed the lightning. His robe billowed without wind. His black hair flowed freely, and he looked down from above, a smile of profound mystery playing on his face. Upon hearing Ji Xian's words, the countless experts in the area were all shocked. Their eyes widened in disbelief, and a sense of terror swept through them. Was Ji Xian saying? Had he already broken through to the triple divine soul tribulation? Luo Li, when Qing Xian, and the others' beautiful eyes narrowed slightly, their faces becoming more serious. Ji Xian had indeed been hiding his strength. In the sky, Ji Xian chuckled lightly. He suddenly clenched his palm, and a terrifying pressure of spiritual energy enveloped the area. The oppressive force was several times stronger than before. Around Ji Xian, the vast white spiritual energy surged like an ocean, continuously pouring forth, releasing an overwhelming power. The intensity of this spiritual energy was much stronger than before. I never expected that Ji Xian had already passed the triple divine soul tribulation. What an unfathomable figure. No wonder he has firmly held the top spot. It seems Mu Chen is in trouble now. From all around, whispers of awe spread. Ji Xian's sudden surge in power broke the stalemate between the two almost instantly. If Ji Xian truly possessed the strength of the triple divine soul tribulation, then Mu Chen would certainly not be able to withstand him. Ji Xian's gaze was sharp as he locked onto Mu Chen. He swiftly altered his hand seal, and in an instant, a vast surge of spiritual energy erupted. Sacred light gathered and formed a massive light seal above Mu Chen's head. The dazzling light seal radiated with brilliance, suddenly descending with overwhelming force. The terrifying pressure immediately locked onto a radius of several hundred feet around Mu Chen, leaving him no room to dodge. Ji Xian's attack at this moment was far stronger than before. If Mu Chen tried to face it head-on as he did previously, he would surely suffer injuries. In a confrontation like this, if Mu Chen were to be wounded and fall into a disadvantageous position, the battle might already have its outcome. Mu Chen raised his head, his black eyes reflecting the brilliant light. The enormous light seal rapidly expanded in his pupils, and the pressure from the attack was so immense that the air around him seemed to solidify. Even the lightning arcs flickering across his body were suppressed. The triple divine soul tribulation was truly formidable. Such a level of attack was beyond what his sixth thunder rune body could withstand. Ji Xian before him was truly an opponent worthy of him giving his all. With a deep breath, Mu Chen slowly closed his eyes amidst the astonished gazes around him. Is he giving up? In the distant sky, Xue Tianhe stood in mid-air. His crimson eyes gazed indifferently at Mu Chen, muttering to himself, "Is someone who can be liked by Luo Li really this weak? It seems being expelled from Spirit Road has affected him more than expected." Fang Yuan from the Nine Cauldrons Spiritual Academy also smiled faintly. If Mu Chen hadn't wasted that year of training, his strength now might not have been inferior to Ji Xian's in the slightest. But unfortunately, there's no such thing as a what if in this world. Mu Chen, Su Huang and the others looked anxious. Ji Xian's sudden surge of strength had almost instantly reversed the earlier stalemate. Shen Songxing and Li Xuantong's faces were grave. They had not anticipated Ji Xian's strength to have reached such a level, having already overcome the triple divine soul tribulation. He was probably the first to do so in the current Spiritual Academy tournament. Luoli and Wenqing Xian didn't speak, but their beautiful eyes, fixed on the sky, clearly showed the tension in their hearts. An opponent like Ji Xian should not be underestimated. Boom. While the crowd below watched in shock, the sky suddenly darkened. People looked up in confusion, only to see thick black clouds gathering above them. Lightning flickered within the clouds, and the sound of deep thunder began to rumble. Sizzle. In a flash, a massive bolt of lightning descended from the sky, ripping through the heavens, and struck Mu Chen's body with a deafening roar. The black lightning almost completely engulfed Mu Chen's body. The violent and domineering energy surged outward, causing the air around him to boil with intensity. However, the black lightning didn't last long. It quickly began to retract at an astonishing speed, as if drawn by some invisible force, and shot back into Mu Chen's body. In the blink of an eye, Mu Chen's form reappeared before everyone's eyes. His body showed no visible change, except that the lightning that had wrapped around him earlier had completely vanished. At that moment, his tightly shut eyes slowly opened. Boom. In his black pupils, it seemed as though lightning itself was being born. He stamped his foot, and the space beneath him distorted. His body shot up into the sky with lightning speed. Bang! His upper garments disintegrated into dust, revealing the 7 thunder runes now glowing on his chest. 7 thunder runes body. Boom! The thunder in the heavens rumbled, and Mu Chen's body transformed into a bolt of black lightning. The immense power within the lightning was so domineering it was beyond description. Bang! Bang! The black lightning that was Mu Chen slammed forward, colliding violently with the massive light seal descending from above. Break! The black lightning struck like a divine thunder spear that pierced through the heavens and earth. For a brief moment, the entire world seemed to dull, and then, to everyone's horror, cracks rapidly spread across the massive light seal. Crack! The sharp, crisp sound rang out, and the black lightning suddenly pierced through the light seal. Countless people's faces changed color in disbelief. The thunderbolts tore through the light seal, and then faded in the vast sky. Mu Chen's figure reappeared, his upper body bare, his black eyes seemingly transforming into a world of thunder, his gaze sharp and chilling. Below him, the light seal exploded, disintegrating into countless glowing specks of light. The onlookers, their eyes widened with amazement, saw something shocking. Ji Xian's attack had been completely shattered again. How is this possible? Someone gasped in astonishment. Their voice trembled. Ji Xian had activated the triple divine soul tribulation. Yet even with that power, he still couldn't defeat Mu Chen. His physical body has grown stronger. When Bushing's face darkened as he looked up at the bare-chested Mu Chen, whose spiritual energy had not increased much, but whose physical strength was several times greater than before. Wu Ling nodded lightly. As expected, none of them are simple. Looks like they've been holding back their trump cards. Phew. Shen Songxing and the others also let out a sigh of relief, but their hearts were shaken. Mu Chen had become so much stronger compared to when the Spiritual Academy Grand Competition first began. This guy really is just like Ji Xian, hiding his trump cards. Wenqing Xian snorted coldly, though her tense expression softened a little. How many more hidden moves does he have? Even Luoli might not know. Luoli, hearing this, gave a faint smile but said nothing. Under the countless astonished gazes in the sky, Mu Chen and Ji Xian faced each other midair, one surrounded by spiritual energy as vast as an ocean, the other with thunder runes appearing all over his body, an imposing presence radiating from him. He's truly formidable, Ji Xian muttered. his eyes cold with a hint of murderous intent. His handsome face, however, still bore a smile. "You thought my physical body was just as it was before?" Mu Chen smiled faintly, turning Ji Xian's earlier words back on him. "You're a little too eager to celebrate." Ji Xian smiled back, his eyes flashing with brilliance. "To be honest, if this is your limit, you'll still be staying here today." Mu Chen slowly extended his hand, and a strange seal formed at his fingertips. His black eyes erupted with a sharpness that even made Ji Xian flinch. "Now, it's my turn to strike. Now, I will make my move." As Mu Chen's low voice echoed across the sky, many powerful figures in the area fixed their gazes intently. Until now, Ji Xian had always led the offense, while Mu Chen mostly relied on his powerful physical body to passively defend. Now, was he finally going to change his approach? However, even though Mu Chen's physical strength had once again increased, could he really withstand Ji Xian, who had reached the triple divine soul tribulation? In the sky, Ji Xian's immense spiritual energy surged. Upon hearing Mu Chen's words, his eyes flickered slightly, and he smiled. "Then I shall watch with interest." He crossed his arms and didn't try to stop him. While Mu Chen's physical body had grown stronger, something he hadn't anticipated, if Mu Chen thought this would make him, Ji Xian, wary, he was sorely mistaken. Once their clash began, if Mu Chen's offense was broken, Ji Xian would seize that fleeting moment to unleash a thunderous attack and press Mu Chen into a disadvantage. Mu Chen paid no heed to Ji Xian's faint smile. As his voice fell, his hands swiftly formed dazzling hand seals. As his hand seals changed, a green ring of light instantly spread from his palms. "Tree planting art," Mu Chen murmured inwardly, and the green ring of light expanded rapidly. Then, to everyone's shock, a flood of green light descended from the sky, and with a whoosh, it transformed into a vast, lush green forest on the ground below. The forest was filled with towering trees, their surfaces glowing with radiant energy. The sudden appearance of the vast emerald forest left everyone dumbstruck. However, as they didn't sense any dangerous fluctuations coming from the forest, their expressions quickly turned to a mix of amusement and disbelief. "Really? What a convenient tree planting technique." Someone couldn't help but comment, likely because it was their first time witnessing such a bizarre method, planting an entire forest in one go. Of course, they knew that this wasn't something Mu Chen had created out of thin air. That kind of supernatural ability was beyond their level. The forest before them must have been prepared by Mu Chen in advance, using some special spiritual artifact that possessed such a function, creating small dimensions to house objects. Luoli, when Qing Xian and the others exchanged glances, realizing it was also their first time seeing Mu Chen use such a peculiar method. Shen Songxing and the others also discreetly wiped away cold sweat. If the timing had been different, they might not have been able to hold back their laughter. Mu Chen, hovering in the sky, paid no attention to the odd stares below. He gazed down at the expansive forest, then suddenly changed his hand seal once again. Buzz. As the seal changed, a thick, emerald glow began to pour from the vast forest below, filled with vibrant spiritual energy. This energy, full of vitality, seemed to possess a subtle sense of spiritual intelligence, unlike the patchy energy of the surrounding world. Something's not right. The eyes of Wu Ling and the others narrowed as they stared at the forest, their faces growing increasingly serious. It seemed they had sensed something. The emerald light spread across the forest like an ocean, and an inexplicable oppressive feeling began to seep into the air. The murmur of the world seemed to fade away as everyone started to sense something was off. Mu Chen had created this enormous forest for a reason, and it was clear that it wasn't just for show. In the sky, Mu Chen's expression remained calm as he clasped his hands together again. Would God's veins? Whoosh! In the vast forest, massive trees began to explode, and the emerald spiritual sea above surged upward like a waterfall, finally converging toward Mu Chen. Boom! The surging spiritual energy gathered beneath Mu Chen's feet, resembling an ocean. It was vibrant with life, but the overwhelming intensity of the energy made Ji Xian's expression shift slightly. Even he sensed danger from the energy's sheer magnitude. Mu Chen took a deep breath, his cold gaze locked onto Xuan. He smiled slightly, but the smile was as sharp as a blade. Now, it's your turn. Lesser divine art, heavenly wood divine wheel. Mu Chen's eyes suddenly turned icy. With a change in his hand seal, the emerald ocean beneath him shot upward, gathering at an astonishing speed. In the astonished gazes of all, it transformed into a colossal divine wood wheel nearly 1,000 feet in diameter. The wheel floated silently above Mu Chen's head. Although its green color resembled wood, the ancient energy it radiated carried an unstoppable wave of power, like a divine punishment about to descend from the heavens. Everyone's expression turned serious. Even the top-tier experts from the Spiritual Academy Grand Competition, like Wu Ling, Wen Bushang, and Lu Qingyun, felt their pupils shrink slightly. The heavenly wood divine wheel Mu Chen summoned was a genuine lesser divine art, and with the power absorbed from the wood god's veins, these two divine arts, being of the same origin, complemented each other. The power of this lesser divine art was far stronger than any Mu Chen had wielded before. Faced with such a terrifying assault, even someone at the triple divine soul tribulation level would likely be wary. Some techniques are indeed no joke. Shui Tianhe watched this scene and slowly commented. Even he felt a genuine sense of danger from Mu Chen's attack. It was clear why Mu Chen was considered a worthy opponent by Xuan. In the sky, Xuan's smile faded, his gaze now locked onto Mu Chen. He clenched his palms, his white spiritual energy growing increasingly powerful, indicating he had also sensed the terrifying strength of Mu Chen's attack. Go! Amidst the thunderous gazes all around, Mu Chen finally extended his long finger and pointed downward. Buzz! As Mu Chen's finger pointed down, the enormous, ancient divine wheel slowly began to spin. The speed of its rotation quickly escalated, becoming astonishingly fast. Buzz, buzz. The divine wheel seemed to transform into an emerald light arc. A sharp buzzing sound rang out, and as its razor-sharp edge sliced through the air, even the space itself seemed to be cut, leaving faint traces behind. Whoosh! When the divine wheel reached its maximum speed, it finally shot out. Boom! The divine wheel moved at an unimaginable speed, almost like teleportation. In the blink of an eye, it pierced through the void and appeared less than 100 feet in front of Xuan. Holy light divine art, holy light protection. Xuan's expression grew more solemn. His hand seals shifted, and a commanding voice suddenly rang out. Whoosh! A vast expanse of holy light surged out from his body. The light spread at an incredible speed around him, and in the blink of an eye, it formed a massive, holy light phantom. The phantom extended its holy light wings, shielding Xuan's body within. Boom! As the holy light phantom emerged, the enormous divine will suddenly swept in, crashing against the massive light wings with the force of a meteor impact. An indescribable brilliance erupted at that moment, even overshadowing the sunlight. The entire world seemed to be engulfed in this blinding light, making it nearly impossible to keep one's eyes open. Boom! The intense light lasted only for a few breaths of time, and then everyone felt a terrifying spiritual energy storm sweep across them. Bang bang! The earth below cracked in every direction, and nearby mountain peaks were swept away and shattered. Countless people near the battlefield were sent flying. Only those truly powerful experts, with their immense spiritual energy, could barely stabilize themselves, though their faces showed clear signs of shock. The intensity of this collision was truly astonishing. After several minutes of violent spiritual energy shockwaves, they finally began to subside. When the world fell quiet again, what appeared before everyone was a desolate landscape, with giant cracks stretching over 1,000 feet long, causing their eyes to twitch. Whoosh! But their gazes only lingered on the ground for a moment before abruptly shifting upward, focusing on the sky. There, in the distance, two figures still hovered in midair, though they had both been blasted over 1,000 meters apart. The enormous holy light phantom around Xuan began to dissipate slowly, revealing his body. Xuan's clothes were torn in half, and his expression was darkened. His eyes locked onto Mu Chen with a fierce, wolf-like glare. He blocked it. Seeing Xun'er's state, the crowd couldn't help but gasp, feeling both amazed and fearful. Xun'er was incredibly powerful. Even facing Mu Chen's terrifying attack, he had managed to block it. However, it was clear that Xun'er had been able to withstand it because he too had mastered a divine art, one of a defensive nature. Otherwise, he would have been injured. Of course, no matter what, Xun'er had still managed to resist Mu Chen's thunderous assault. "Impressive," Xun'er said, glancing at the bloodstains on his arm. His eyes darkened as he stared at Mu Chen, a cold smile creeping across his face. "To use the power of spiritual energy tribulation to cast a divine art, I have to admit, you are indeed formidable. However, I regret to inform you that even if you possess a divine art, you won't be able to hurt me. Now, what other moves do you have?" By the end of his words, Xun'er's eyes had turned completely frosty. Mu Chen's black eyes silently stared at Xun'er, and then a strange smile curled on his handsome face. He whispered, "You're celebrating too early." Upon hearing this, Xun'er's pupils contracted sharply. It seemed he sensed something and suddenly looked up. The white clouds in the sky were torn apart, revealing layers of black thunderclouds. In those clouds, black lightning coiled like massive dragons, silently churning with a destructive force that began to spread. At this moment, a soft voice echoed quietly in Mu Chen's mind.